ISKCON Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satchavajay Namo Namaha Vrinai Hai Tosile Vyai ISKCON Jagatya Vishnu Bhakti Prade Devi Satchavajay Namo Namaha Jai Tulsi Maharani Ki Jai. We offer our most respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord, who just like desire trees, who can fulfill the desires of everyone, and they are full of compassion for the fallen and conditioned soul. Great silence to the class.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yamunatira vanachari Yamunatira vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Jaya Radha Golokananda Radha Golokananda Shri Radhe Jaya Jaya Prabhupada 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada Jaya Jaya Gurudev 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 Jaya Jaya Gurudev Shri Shri Radha Golokananda ki jai Granthra Srimad Bhagavatam ki Srila Prabhupada ki Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudire Hare Krishna. So we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam 10th Canto Okay. Sorry, I'm just putting the verse. It's 1073, right? Okay, thank you. Just I lost my mark. Okay. Reading from 10th Canto, 73rd chapter, text number 26. Bhojayitva varanena Bhojayitva varanena Susnatam samalakritam Susnatan samalakritan Bhogaischa vividhair yuktam Bhogaischa vividairyuktam Tambulade nripochitai Tambulade nripochitai Bhojayitva varanena Susnatam samalankritam Bhogaischa vividairyuktam Tambulatyan ripochitai Hitva varanena Susnatan samalakritan Bhogaischa vividairyuktam Tambuladhe nipochitai Bhojayitva varanena Susnatan samalankritan Bhogaischa vividairyuktam Tambulade nipochitai Bhojayitva varanena Susnatan samalankritan Bhogaischa vividairyuktam Bhojayitva feeding Vara excellent Anena with food Su properly Snatan bathe Samalankritan well decorated Bhogai with objects of enjoyment Cha and Vividhai various Yuktan bestowed Tambula betel nut Adyai and so on Nripa kings Uchitai befitting. Translation by disciples of His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada and his disciples ki jai. After they had been properly bathed and adorned, Lord Krishna saw to it that they dined on excellent food. He also presented them with various items befitting the pleasure of kings, such as betel nut. So please repeat. After they had been properly bathed and adorned, Lord Krishna saw to it that they dined on excellent food. He also presented them with various items befitting the pleasure of the kings, such as betel nut. So Jiva Goswami's commentary. What did he do before honoring them? They were shaved and rubbed with oil on their limbs, including their heads. They then bathed. They were then ornamented with clothing, ornaments, garlands, and ointments. They were then fed. After that, they were offered betel nut, fruits, roots, and various drinks. Okay. Om Jnanati Mirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsya Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatam Vitam Tam Sijivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamsya He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishnaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Iti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashante Shatari Hare Krishna. So, before we start discussing, I would like to seek the blessings of Maharaj, all the Vaishnavas here, Drishta Prabhu, Apura Prabhu, all the Vaishnavas, kindly bless me so we can discuss a few words on this shloka. So in the last few verses we have been discussing how Krishna is taking care of all these kings. Right? And I was thinking that every section of the Bhagavatam, there is certainly a depth to it. Like why is this section elaborated in details? Giving here in this verse particularly, we are seeing how Krishna made sure that these kings were actually bathed, they were adorned, ornaments, and then betel nut, everything that was suitable for a king. Krishna made sure they were taken care of like this. So I was thinking so in my mind 4 reasons actually came. I thought 4 reasons we can briefly touch upon why these verses are described and why is Krishna taking such good care of these kings. Right? So the first one, if you see, in Bhagavad Gita we read, Yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata paritranaya sadhuna vinashaya tudushya. The purpose of Krishna's appearance, right? And it is actually to come to establish dharma, right? And then to destroy the demons and protect the devotees. Now, if you see, whenever Krishna comes, and this is a theme that comes throughout Srimad Bhagavatam, that whenever Krishna comes, he makes sure that a sadhu or a Raja Rishi is established. Right? When Krishna came here 5,000 years before, he made sure that Yudhishthira Maharaj, who is such a great devotee, is established as a king. Because when a king is a Raja Rishi, such a great king, then the plan of Krishna, Krishna's mission of coming down is actually one way easily established. If the king is dharmic, if the king is pure devotee, then certainly there will be dharma established in the kingdom. Right? And so the first point is, why is Krishna actually taking care of all these kings? So in the starting of this chapter is described that how these kings initially is described that they were so emaciated, they were so weak, and they had their faces were dry, and they were hungry, and they had disheveled clothes. That was the situation. Now if they are going back to their kingdom, if they go like this, how will people respect them as a king? So Krishna is making sure, because he wants such devotees, and we read in this entire chapter the prayers by these kings and Krishna's reciprocation to them. And through this, we can see that Krishna wants these devotees to be established as a king and the citizens to recognize, oh, this is our real king. So Krishna wants to make sure that they are nicely decorated, they are given that respect of the king, and here particularly it says they are giving various items befitting the pleasure of kings. So the Sanskrit is nipochita, uchita. Uchita means what is befitting a king. Krishna made sure that everything was given. Right? Now, we see this, so how does having a Raj Rishi help establish dharma? So, we see this perfect example in the story of Vena and King Prithu. Right? So in the 4th canto we have the story of Vena, who was one way, a very vicious king. Right? So even though there were proper brahmanas, right? So when the king is there, varnashram is established, right? And so even though there were proper brahmanas, the citizens, Vaishyas, Shudras, they were there, but that particular king, Vena, he was vicious. And what did he do? He actually stopped all the sacrifices. All Vedic sacrifices he stopped. He stopped all the brahmanas from doing any of these sacrifices. And then, when the brahmanas actually came to correct him, and they told him words of wisdom, he actually started chastising the brahmanas. And then, by the brahmanas' power, they actually killed him. But my point is, when the king, if varnashram, like the other varnas are working properly, but if the king is actually vicious, he's not dharmic, he's not a devotee, then the whole system fails. So Krishna comes, he wants to make sure that the king is a Rajrishi, is a devotee. So varnashram is established in the society, and through that varnashram, everything is perfect. It creates the perfect platform for all the citizens to actually take up Krishna consciousness, right? So one is, that's the first point I would talk about, is Krishna wants to establish Raja Rishi as the kings, and his own devotees as the kings. The second point that we see is when the king is a devotee, so if you see the real heart of Lord Shri Krishna, he wants every one of us to go back home, back to God. He wants everyone to become devotees. And if the king is a devotee, we see the power of king being a devotee, how it affects all the citizens. Right? So again, going back to Prithu's example, so we compared Vena, and after Vena, then the sages, they churned the body of Vena, and then who appeared? Prithu appeared. And we see Prithu, when he became the king, there's in the 4th canto a beautiful conversation between Prithu and the citizens. And that section is very, very nice section, where Prithu is actually, he is established as the king, and he is actually talking to all the citizens, but the dialogue is so insightful. Because Prithu, like even though he is the emperor, he doesn't come and tell the citizens, okay, I am your emperor, please listen to me. Or listen to me, this is my order. And the way he actually presents himself is a way that would win the hearts of everyone. So Bhagavatam describes, initially the king talks to all the devotees, all the pious, the devotees, and he actually says, oh, all you people here in the assembly, so all the citizens are there. There are atheists, there are, devotees, sages, everyone is there. So Prithu first starts and he's addressing all the sages. He says, you are all here. So I'm going to speak few words. Please see if this is appropriate. So he's the king, but the way he presents himself with so much humility, he's saying, I am going to say something like, please approve that this is right. And then he actually talks about, how a king, he makes a point that, I have been appointed as the king just as a servant of the Lord to perform certain services. What is that? Protect the citizens, establish varnashram, make sure all the citizens have occupations based on their varna. So those are our duties. And Prithu is not saying that, oh, I am the emperor. He's saying that I have been appointed as a servant by the Lord to do all these services for all of you. So I am serving all of you, right? And then further he actually makes the point. He says, if the king, if the king is performing all these duties, and if the citizens cooperate with the king, then both the king and the citizen, they get higher destination. So one way he's actually speaking in such a way, saying, oh, citizens and king, citizens, we are in this together. If you do this, it's beneficial for me, beneficial for you. Let's do it. The mood of, not that mood of command, the mood of like, we are together, let's do this together, let's follow dharma together. And then further he actually says that if a king, if he's taking taxes but he's not teaching the citizens how to follow varnashram, then he'll suffer the sins of all the citizens. I mean, imagine now, if you think about it, that if the king is, or the government head is extracting taxes, but if he's not establishing varnashram or dharma, he is getting the sins of all the citizens. that's like heavy. So, and then he actually says he loses all his good fortune. Therefore, citizens, let's cooperate. Let's do this together. I mean, just the mood and the power. And when we see Prithu talking to all the citizens like this, all the citizens are like, yes, let's do it together. But there were also people who didn't have faith. And actually, one word that Prithu uses, he says, adhokshaja diya. So you do all your duties, but you focus, you meditate on adhokshaja, Lord Shri Krishna. So he's saying this to all the citizens, those who are pious, those who are religious, they are accepting. But what about the atheists? And then he actually proves the presence of the Lord to all the atheists and establishes. Even if you don't believe, here is the proof that the Lord exists. And he explains them in terms of philosophy, and then he explains in terms of giving examples, and then third, he explains in terms of practice. So we always say that faith, how is faith enhanced in each one of us? There are three aspects. There's philosophy, we read the Shastras, we read certain aspects, and when we read, it's like, oh yeah, this makes sense, our faith increases. Second, people. We see people who are practicing, and we see how they are convinced. Yes, Maharaj was making the point that how we see in Srila Prabhupada his conviction, you know. And when we see examples, then we feel like, oh yes, I should do this. So people. And the third point is practice. When we're practicing Krishna consciousness, we feel like, oh yes, I'm chanting. I feel, yes, that is some purification. I feel reciprocation. I feel, you know, yes, this is working. So Prithu actually takes these 3 points and convinces all the citizens. And he says, like, philosophy, he says, don't you see in all the citizens, some of them are more beautiful, some of them are ugly, you know. And we all have different types of bodies. Now, if you say that karma is responsible for all this, there has to be something responsible that how we have different kinds of bodies. If you say karma is responsible, but karma is not conscious. You know, karma itself is not conscious. So there has to be someone who is conscious, who's making the decision saying that you did this good, this is a good result. You did this bad, this is bad. That proves that there is one higher authority. You know, and in that, through philosophy, he convinces all the citizens. Then through people, he gives examples of so many different kings who lived, who ruled following dharma. And then through practice, he said, if you do this, how your mind will get purified, how you will experience the higher kind of bliss. And in that way, Prithu is convincing all the citizens, right? So my point is, the first point I made is, why is Krishna personally taking care of all these kings so much? First is, he wants kings to become Rajrishi. It is important for his mission of establishing dharma in the world. Second, the power that a king has. You know, when the king has so much power, he can convince all the citizens to take up Krishna consciousness. Right? And the third point one can say is, you know, throughout Bhagavad Gita, we see Arjun, you know, sometimes this question is, why did Krishna speak Bhagavad Gita to Arjun? He could have just selected some saintly person. But it's actually so amazing that Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjun. Arjun was a married man. He had, you know, grahast life. He had commitments to his relationships, to his brothers, to his great-grandfather. He had attachments, right? Bodily attachments to Bhishma, Bhishma Pitama, Dronacharya. Actually, there's, His Holiness S.B. Keshav Swami Maharaj. He's written a whole book on no excuse, you know. Because if anyone gives an excuse that, oh, right now I am busy, I don't have time. And then he gives the example, but see Arjun, he was right in between the battlefield. I mean, who can be right in between the battlefield? And then he says that, well, I am busy, I have a family life. Oh, Arjun had a family life, you know. I have so many attachments. Arjun had attachments. Whatever is the excuse, Arjun is a perfect example for all of us to say like, oh, I don't think I can give any excuse. Bhagavad Gita is for me. Right? So, the point I'm saying is through this, you know, why Krishna spoke Bhagavad Gita to Arjun, the point is, Arjun is, you know, one-way grahastha, married man, duties, you know, attachments, everything, and yet he is showing the example of how someone can live Bhagavad Gita. You know? And that, I was thinking, is such a powerful thing, because sometimes people say, yeah, I know Bhagavad Gita, I've read, but how do you live? Like, I was hearing that one Indian man came to Prabhupada and he said like, Swamiji, I can recite entire Bhagavad Gita in 45 minutes. He's like, with proud, he was like, I know all the shlokas, I can just recite. And Prabhupada's challenge was, can you live Bhagavad Gita for 45 minutes? And imagine the king. If the king is setting the example of how to live Shastras, what could be more powerful? It is actually more powerful even than Shastras when you see a live example of a person who is busy, who has duties. He's a king, he has all his responsibilities, yet he's actually living the Shastras. So hence, Krishna wants these kings, devotees to actually become the kings. And hence here, he's personally actually reciprocating, taking care of all these kings. He wants to make sure all these kings, when they go back to their respective kings, they are respected, they become the kings, and all the citizens can actually become Krishna conscious. Right? So that was one aspect, right? And another point that I would like to make is, when you see Krishna's reciprocation, just consider Krishna is personally arranging all these kings to be fed. Today's verse we read, he's bhojayitva varanena, excellent food. He's arranging. He is planning the menu and saying like, okay, please make sure all these kings are fed really nicely like kings. Why is Krishna personally taking care of all these kings? And I was thinking of the point of reciprocation. That Krishna's reciprocation, like if you see earlier in this chapter, when the kings actually, they were, with Jarasan, they were imprisoned. But when they actually met Krishna, they didn't actually say that, why were we captured by Jarasan? Where were you at that time? No, they said like, Krishna, this is actually your mercy. Because we were puffed up as being kings, it was your mercy to destroy our false ego that we have been captured by. So they saw that as Krishna's reciprocation. They are being captured by Jarasan. They are being not fed and treated so badly by Jarasan. They saw that as Krishna's mercy to smash their false ego. And now they are seeing another dimension of Krishna's mercy where he's personally taking care of them. Right? So I was thinking of this, how Krishna reciprocates with us. Sometimes the reciprocation comes in ways that we feel that, why is this happening to me? Like the kings are captured by Jarasan. Like Krishna, for sure, he reciprocates, right? How Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita, the first name of Krishna is used as Achyuta. Achyuta means he does not fail to reciprocate with his devotees. But how that reciprocation comes, when that reciprocation comes, that Krishna decides. So for these kings, that reciprocation initially came as imprisonment, being captive, being subjected to so many atrocities. And now that same reciprocation is coming as Krishna personally taking care of them. Right? So Krishna is there, he reciprocates. So I was thinking personally in our life also that, sometimes situations may come which are like unfavorable, and we may think that, Krishna, I'm chanting my rounds, I'm doing 16 rounds, I'm associating with devotees. Why is this coming to me? I think Maharaj was talking about this yesterday, about the point that, things happen, but the point of having the faith in, yes, this is Krishna's plan for me. This is Krishna's reciprocation with me, right? So, Krishna always reciprocates. He's unfailing in reciprocation to devotees, but how and when is in Krishna's hand, how he reciprocates and when he reciprocates. So, from our side, whatever situation comes, having that faith and yes, this is Krishna's reciprocation for me. It may come in things that we think is unfavorable, or it may come in ways where Krishna is personally, like how here he is personally taking care of the kings. It is all reciprocation. Because Krishna has only one thing in heart. Every form of reciprocation or mercy that he's giving to all of us, he has only one thing in his mind. How can I get this jiva back home, back to Godhead? How can I get this person? So how in Bhagavatam 1-16, Prabhupada and Purport makes a point that Krishna is more eager to take us back home, back to Godhead than we are eager. Most of us are not even eager. We don't have that eager. But Krishna is more eager, and hence his entire reciprocation, whatever situation, he just has one thing. How can I get this living entity back home, back to God? I want him back home. I have a particular rasa that I want to enjoy with this jiva. Hence, I want this person back home, back to God. So reciprocation may come in different, but if you always think that, yes, Krishna has a bigger picture, and this whole thing which is happening is just so that I can come closer to Krishna. And if that is our overarching point, then whatever situation is there, then we'll have like at least that faith that yes, Krishna is there. I don't know why this is happening. It could be painful, it could be this, but Krishna is doing something. He is maybe taking out some very deep-rooted anarthas in my heart through this way. You know? And Krishna is so expert that sometimes when he gives something heavy, then he actually reciprocates with a sweet. You know? So sometimes when we have Karela, then again with that we can have Apura Prabhu's Gulab Jamuns, you know. So then Krishna sometimes he gives that sweet reciprocation where, you know, we come through devotees and you all of a sudden feel like, oh Krishna, you're so kind. You arranged this for me. You know? And imagine how the kings must be thinking right now. They offered those prayers and Krishna reciprocated. And now they were thinking, see how Krishna is personally arranging. Imagine what is happening to their devotion, their bhakti. Krishna is personally taking. That supreme personality of God, the supreme controller, is personally taking care of me, is personally arranging this for me. You know, imagine what happens. And similarly for us in our spiritual life, when we feel that reciprocation, sometimes hard way, but when it's in a sweet way, then we feel like, oh, Krishna, you're so kind. And our faith, our devotion, and we feel so enthusiastic. Yes, Krishna, you're doing this for me. Let me take dive more in bhakti. Let me go out, do something for you, distribute books, Harina, whatever, and let me do more services for you. You know. So that's the point of Krishna's reciprocation. So I was thinking that, so the point here is, why is Bhagavatam actually describing these verses? To show Krishna's reciprocation. The contrast of that mercy before and the mercy right now. Okay. So Krishna's reciprocation with the devotees, he certainly reciprocates. So it is going to be there, but how and when, that is in Krishna's hand, and it could be something that may be unpleasant for us, or it could be something sweet, and Krishna knows what is the balance that is one way good for us, so that we can continue our bhakti, so that we can go deeper in our bhakti. Krishna's only point in reciprocation is, how can this jiva come back to me? So, and then one last point I would like to make is, when he's, like in the previous yesterday's verse, we read how Krishna, he's reciprocating, but he asked Sahadev, Jarasan's son, to actually provide these things to the king. Now it's interesting that why did he ask Sahadev to actually provide, take care of the kings? And I was thinking the point here that, the kings may, let's say, here when they express their prayers, they are just saying that, oh, Krishna, that we just want to always remember you, their prayers are so beautiful. But let's say underneath there is some, oh, Jarasan, you're so wicked, and he captured us, and now his son is there. Even if there is something, by Sahadev serving the kings, the kings are like, oh, see, such a nice son, he's serving us. So last point I was thinking is how Krishna, when he acts, he always wants to establish, the spirit of cooperation, service, friendly relationships between the jivas. That Sahadev is actually, he's asking Sahadev, you actually do all this, right? You make arrangements, you do this. So by Sahadev doing it, then the kings are feeling that, oh, he's taking care of, he's serving us, we would like to serve him. And then relationship, that connection will get sweeter and more deeper, right? Yes, so there's a few points. So first I started off with the point of how Krishna wants to establish king, and he wants to make sure they are recognized as kings. So he's serving the kings to make sure Varnashram is properly established. He's establishing the kings. So because if a king is a Raja Rishi devotee, how powerfully he can convince the citizens to take up Krishna consciousness. And the other point is the king is, he's a role model. Yad yad acharit shreshthas tat tad evetar arjuna. He becomes an example of how someone can live the Shastras. And that is more powerful than the Shastras itself. Right? Then we talked of reciprocation. Krishna's reciprocation comes initially as they are imprisoned, but now is a sweet reciprocation. And how their heart must be melting seeing Krishna personally arrange for all this. And then the last point we discussed is how Krishna is using Sahadev to do this. So Krishna is one way establishing the spirit of service, cooperation, friendly relationships between Sahadev and the kings. So a few points. Any corrections, comments, realizations? It's Mother Urmila Maharaj.
Why do we always have All right. Why do we always have references to betel nuts, which are an intoxication? In I'm bewildered by. Seriously, this is not a trick question.
I actually looked up betel nuts just when you were talking about it. They're really bad.
Yeah, they're really bad. I mean, Lord Chaitanya took betel nuts, and basically they were worried about his health because he fell unconscious. So, why betel nuts? I don't have an answer to this. Oh, you have it.
So, I mean, the only point that comes to my mind is the word uchita. That because this is, the king, because of their opulence, they used to do something which normally the public would not do, like, just having like everyday paneer. Maybe it's not so healthy for you, but just as a king, you are like opulence and I need to have it. That's the only point I don't know the details of it. Mother.
Sanskrit here is tambula, and there's all different kinds of tambula. So sometimes, like Prabhupada translates gunja as conch shells, which it's actually a berry. So we may be having a translation problem here. What I came to say is that I'm going to be recommending this class generally to everybody all over the world. That's just what I wanted to I've been listening online, but I wanted to come in and personally tell you that I'm going to be recommending that everybody hear your class today. So thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you.
I particularly like the last point you made, how Krishna is arranging for us all to get along. And so my question is, how do we help Krishna help us get along?
I think the mood of being the servant of the servant, I think that is Mahaprabhu's mission, that Gopir Bhartur Padakunara Das Das Anudas. And as we progress in bhakti, I feel like just cultivating that mood of servant of the servant, like the whole thing, serving Vaishnavas, serving like how can I serve Vaishnavas, and immediately from the point of yes, I am right, or this is the way to do it, but how can I serve, how can I assist other Vaishnavas? I think immediately that the mood itself is so melting. If someone comes and says, okay, I want to serve you, I would like to help you. And just establishing that mood, I feel, is very powerful. Yeah. So, do you have some points to add? Okay. So thank you so much for your association. Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa
Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Enam Kanvantam Aravindanalaya Taksham Marhavatam Samasitam Buddhasundarangam Kandar Agom Vidamaniya Vishesha Shobham Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Anganiyasa Sakalen Priya Priti Manti Vasyanti Panti Kayanti Chiram Naganti Ananda Chinmaya Sadhu Jala Vigrahasya Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami Govindam Adipurusham Namaham Bhajami
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare. Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Okay, Krishna, Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Krishna, Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Rama Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Hare Hare. Radha, looking down the Radha, looking down the Radha. Hey. Jai Radha, hey, Jai Radha, hey, Jai Radha, hey, Jai Radha, hey. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa His divine grace, the Vaya Chalananda Bhaktananda Goswami Srila Prabhupada ISKCON Srila Prabhupada Adhatikoti Vaishnava Vrinda Friends, say the whole Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shiva Sindhu Bhaktivinoda Jai All glorious to Shri Guru and Gauranga, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.
Harinam Sankirtan tomorrow at 5 Points in Durham. It's going to be at 5 o'clock from 5 to 7. It's going to be a nice day, warm, and there'll be a lot of people out because there's lots of things happening tomorrow evening in Durham. And thank you to Maharaj for a really, really great kirtan. Just was so wonderful. Haribo. And thank you for a nice class from Aditya Narayan Prabhu. Really great. Chaito Darbana Marjanam Bhava Mahadavagni Nirvapanam Shreya Kairavya Chandrika Vitaranam Vidyavadu Jivanam Ananda. Really beautiful. So many flowers. Anam Sarvatma Snapanam Param Vijayate Shri Krishna Sankirtanam Nam Namakari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shaktis Tatrapita Niyamita Smarane Nakala Etadrishi Trava Bhagavan Mamapi Dordaiva Midrishami Hajjani Nanuraga. Thank you. Nichena Torora Pisuhishuna